no one knows that I lead worship here. No one knows that he is an amazing speaker. No one knows.
And in a way, also, they don't care.
But it was so good for us to like have a season where we're like, we're just children. We have to find our identity again in who we are in God.
Hey, I'm Josh, and this is Beyond the Numbers. This is a podcast where we have real and raw conversations about what healthy ministry should actually look like within our churches and our cultures. Last week, we talked about the topic of quiet ministry and the idea that in our culture, if there's not a big post or there's not a lot of likes or a good reel to go along with it, sometimes we feel like God is not using us. Today's guest, Fernando and Faith, I've known for quite a few years. When I first met them was when I first went to Los Angeles to be a youth pastor out there, and I met them up at a camp there, and they were camp speakers. And since then, I've just seen his life and how he works with his youth, and then also through some of the testimonies that him and his wife have shared, and even this new venture that they're on and following God's call. And they just have such a life that brings God glory. They shine it in the greatest of ways. And so I invited them on today to share, because in this moment in time that they're living in now, they are living out this quiet ministry. And so Fernando and Faith, if you guys don't mind sharing just a little bit with our viewers here, a bit about yourself and maybe even a bit about what you've done ministry-wise in this new venture, this new direction that God has led you guys in.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Josh, for first of all letting us come on your podcast and be with you. We admire you from far away. We love seeing your stuff online, and yeah, thank you. And yeah, again, I had the honor and the privilege to work alongside you and do camps with you and be a youth pastor also in those days. So thank you for getting us on the podcast. Yeah. So my name is Fernando. This is my wife Faith. And we're both pastors here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. We are planting a church. It's called New Story. And man, the journey to getting here has been crazy, exciting, scary.
Yeah. We moved here from Santa Barbara, California, about like a year and a half ago to plant a church. And so the change in scenery alone has been drastic.
I can imagine.
We moved in 5 minutes from the beach in like one of the most beautiful cities in America.
Oh my goodness.
Wait.
Yeah, I like to joke that we went from like one type of sand to another type of sand. And so there's still sand in our lives, but differently. Yeah, but yeah, it's been quite an adjustment for us, for our kids too, because we
have moved 3 kids.
We have 3 little kids, and we moved them all the way out here, and but it's been really nice too. I also have family here in the state of New Mexico, so that's been really nice to have family close. But yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Awesome. Well, with the idea behind quiet ministry, and especially with you guys making such a big, drastic move, what made you guys step out as you did? And maybe kind of, if you want to give a little bit of vision for what you guys are starting, what you're doing now, and what you're planning, when it comes to this church and everything like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we are out of our mind. Starting something from zero. No, so a couple of years ago, I would say around 2021, 2022, I started having this inner like longing to start something new. We were in a healthy church. We love we still love our pastor. We love our church. But we felt like, man, in the Christian world, we use the word transition, but I felt like there was something happening, and I couldn't quite put a word, I couldn't figure it out. And I would share this with Faith and talk to her and tell her, I feel like I think God's calling us to plant a church. And a lot of conversations around that, like, what would that look like?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I was feeling the same thing. Like, we knew that change was coming. We had this dream to start something new in our hearts, and we wrestled with it for years. Yeah. It was even, I would say it was like the end of 2020 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was a while that we were wrestling with the idea and talking,
dreaming, thinking. I was asking all sorts of questions. I would call other church planners that I knew, and I would ask them, like, what was your journey like? Like, how'd you get to this point? Like, how how did you jump ship? Like, how did you do that? Because it was a new concept for us. Like, we had never.
And we also didn't have, because people would ask us, well, what do you want to do? We're like, we don't know yet. What's your vision? We don't know. We don't know. We don't have a vision yet. We just feel this call in our hearts. Like, we want to do something.
Yeah. It was just, it was very evident that God was preparing us for this next season. So for 2 years we kind of wrestled with it, and we were kind of frustrated because like nothing seemed to be moving, like things, it wasn't the right time. And then in 2023 I get hit with the news that I had cancer. And so basically, uh, I was having some weird symptoms for months, and I finally went to the ER. They checked out my chest and they found what they called a shadow around my heart, which you never want to hear. And so after doing some x-rays and CT scans, they finally told me it looks like it's a tumor. And so I remember calling my wife that night, and just our whole world changed. My whole world turned upside down. And so that led to us getting into the bigger hospital in our city. They still didn't know what was going on, and the only way to kind of figure it out is to get in there. And so I got operated on like a week later, which was also a miracle to get a surgery that big done that quick. And so we went into surgery. They took the tumor out. It was a tumor. There was a tumor right next to my heart. It wasn't attached to my heart. It wasn't attached to my lungs. It was just there in the middle. And that's what was causing all sorts of problems. And so they took it out. They later found out it's a type of cancer called thymoma, which is a rare type of cancer. If you've never heard of it, don't feel bad, because we didn't either. And it apparently hits 1 in 1.2 million people. And I got to be that lucky dude. And post surgery, I did do radiation for 6 weeks every day at 11. I would go and get radiation treatment. And so that whole journey was, again, just a huge, like, our world just changed for us. And so,
and a reminder that God ordains our steps, because we had all these plans, and me specifically, I feel like I was trying to rush it. Like, I'm like, okay, I don't want to wait anymore. And this feels like you're forgetting us, God. We're getting older. We have so many things we want to do. Let's like get it moving. We didn't know
this was going to happen.
He had a tumor in his chest. And there was a reason why God was closing those doors. And so it's like, if we had have jumped the gun, like on this whole journey of church planting, like we wouldn't have had our strong community around us.
Our church community.
Insurance that paid for it, the best surgeon in our area.
Almost like $500,000 worth of bills just gone.
Cancer center, literally 2-minute drive from our house. Like, so many things. It's like,
right.
We waited.
I'm glad we didn't like jump the gun, or we didn't move faster than what the Lord was asking us. And
so like a year later, we felt this release. We're like, it's time.
Yeah.
And we moved in
2024.
Yeah.
After a year of resting and healing, we felt that release. And the cool thing about all of this too is our church was 100% behind all of this. Like, they were supportive. Our pastor was supportive and continues to be supportive. And so we felt like a release. And so 2024, we made the jump. By then we had prayed about it. We'd be like, okay, so where do we go? Right. And so, we were looking up and down the coast of California, because, we're already used to it.
Nice beach town.
Beach town. We wanted to stay in the same state. We saw even some options up in Portland or, Seattle, or, we wanted to stay on that side, but God just kept pulling me to the different. And I kept resisting it. I kept resisting because I'm like, well, are you sure? It's kind of like, Jonah and Nineveh. Like, I was like, are you sure? Maybe I want to go this way. But no, God cemented that in our hearts. He put Las Cruces, and he kept putting Las Cruces again and again and again. And we knew, we were like, all right, God. And so, we made that jump in 2024.
Yes. We moved with no jobs. Our church, like, they gifted us.
Yeah, they blessed us as we left.
But we went with nothing set up. And when we landed here, we were like,
whoa.
What did we do?
That is like a huge step of faith, though. My goodness. Like, I take forever to move for stuff because I'm always like just terrified of stepping out of my comfort zone.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that step, it's, I'll say this. I think in the middle of all that, right, there's so many moving parts. And, we just ran through that story, but there were just so many moments where I felt like, God, maybe we should stay. Like, there's nothing wrong in staying at our local church. It takes just as much faith to do what we were doing. It's not like one is better than the other, but like, because I couldn't see what God was telling me, I just kept kind of going back and going, no, maybe I should stay. It's comfortable. I know this. It's very familiar for me, and I just couldn't get rid of that feeling.
We did wrestle still even after he, had surgery and all that, and it had been a little bit. And I said, I'm booking the and so I booked it a year in advance.
Well, I was telling Fernando, just listening to y'all's podcast, I was like, yeah, it's awesome how you guys are covering each other's strengths and weaknesses, because he talks about how sometimes he's more the hesitant, and you're just like, we're just stepping out and trusting God for it. And I think, I mean, sometimes we need that, though. We need both sides of that. Yeah. And I love how you guys said about the whole idea of, originally you had your timing and you didn't know what it was, but God just kept on slowing down that timing. And I think maybe for some people that are listening, you feel like you're up against the wall because you've tried, and for whatever reason, God is putting on the brakes, and maybe it's not a no, but it's like, I know what lies ahead and the timing just isn't right. And it's awesome that God ordained that timing at the moment you guys couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, just living your life in a way of like, we've given our lives to the Lord. Like, everything we do, we're striving to do for his glory. And I think a lot of people get caught up on, is this God's will? Is this God's will? Should I do this? Should I not do this? And we've been there. But at the end of the day, it's like, are you surrendered to the Lord? Yes. Move forward. What are you trying to do? Plant a church to share the gospel? That's God's will. It's God's will. So it's like, my prayer has always been to not get caught up in, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? It's like, move forward with what you have in your heart. God's going to close doors, or he's going to open doors. But we have to keep in motion, keep moving forward. Yeah. And that takes faith, we want everything laid out before us. Yeah. But it's like, we don't always know how God works. We don't always know what it's going to look like. But to keep moving and not get caught up on, is this his will?
That's so good.
Forward, he's going to close the door, or he's going to open the door. Yeah.
And faith is that key part, right? Because have you ever heard of the term like analysis paralysis? Like, where you have so much information, or you have like there's so many things, but then you get like paralysis, like you get stuck, and you're like, I have too much. And that's what happened to me a little bit. Like, I would read up on all these church, because again, strategy, leadership, that's like, I love that stuff. So I'd read all these books on church planning. I'd read all these, or listen to all these podcasts, watch all these YouTube videos. And there's so many ways to do this that I would be like, maybe we're not doing it the right way. Maybe we're not supposed to do this or supposed to do that. But that faith part of like trusting the Lord in the midst of all that is the key. It reminds me of the story of the disciples. They're going from one part of the lake to another with Jesus, and they're in the boat, right? It's the story of the storm and the boat. The way I see that story, Jesus is asleep, right? The disciples are upset because they're like, the storm is going crazy, and Jesus he's taking a nap. The way that I see that whole scenario is like, there's all these disciples running around like crazy, freaking out, anxious. Because, you should. It's an ocean, or it's a large lake. It's a big storm. But I want to see myself as like one of the disciples who was just kind of like chilling, looking at Jesus going, what does he know that I don't know, because he's knocked out? And so I want to have that posture of going like, there is all these things going on, but I want to keep my face towards him, because he knows something that I don't know. And so it takes trust, like trusting that God, in fact, in that story, Jesus said that they would make it to the other side of the lake. So he had told them already, like, hey, we're going to cross on over. So, like, if he's already promised that they're going to get to the other side, why are they freaking out about drowning in the middle of the lake? And so for me, it's like God had told us that we were going to plant a church. So why am I freaking out? Like, I'm just going to obey and just keep an eye on him and go, what are you doing? I wonder what's going on. What do you know that I don't know? And then, obviously the whole cancer journey. Then I go, oh,
Yeah, in a weird way, it was like, oh, you see us.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds so weird. It's like, oh, he has cancer, you see us. But it's like, oh, there was a reason.
There was a reason.
Preparing us.
Yeah. And that really, really helped kind of solidify like how we felt about moving here. And so it's been quite a faith journey.
Obviously, stepping into all this is a huge change, especially going from youth pastor, working in camps, all that kind of stuff, to now with this church thing, and maybe going from a visible stage style ministry to now a quieter one. What would you say has been some of the biggest changes or things that you've had to adjust to in this process?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think we used to run these like large youth camps, and there was like 1,000 to 1,200 kids every week, and we would do this in the summer. He was the assistant director for a little bit. I was the worship leader for a little while, and we got to like be on these really big stages. And then we went to Santa Barbara, where it was like a smaller church, like 100 and something, 150. And that was a huge change for us because we were like, wow, we're used to doing these massive events.
Youth things.
Over 1,000 kids. And it's like hype, hype, hype. You're bringing all these like Christian celebrities, like just a way different world. And then we go to a local church and we serve there for 10 years. So good for us. We learned so much.
Right. To a youth group of like 5.
And then we come here where it's literally just us. And, originally we envisioned bringing a team, and it just ended up not working out with timing and location.
Yeah, and God's plans.
And like we ended up moving here. And when we moved, we had decided that we were going to take a year break because we just felt like we needed
to get to know the city.
Right.
We needed time to rest.
And considering all that we, our whole journey, like leading up to that moment. And we went through a bit of an identity crisis. Like,
it's real, guys.
Not using your giftings. I'm a worship leader. I've been doing it for like 20 years. And he's, always been preaching, leading, raising up leaders, doing things that he's like very gifted in. And that kind of feeds the ego in a way that we aren't really aware of. It makes you feel good, even if you're not like
to be seen, to be
heard.
heard.
We want to be like, our heart has never been to glorify ourselves. We have always tried, but you're still getting to use your talents. And there's still people that see that. And you don't realize until it's taken away how much like we depend on those things to make us feel fulfilled. And like we are good Christians, good Christians. Until we're in a season where it's like, oh my gosh, no one knows that I lead worship here. No one knows that he is an amazing speaker. No one knows.
And in a way, also, they don't care.
And honestly, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, who cares? But it was so good for us to like have a season where we're like, we're just children. Like we have to find our identity again in who we are in God. Like without like, the platform, am I still valuable if I'm not giving back in the way that I'm used to? Like, do I still have value? Like, is my relationship with the Lord still the same? Is it still there? Like that was like crucial. And I feel like every person, every minister needs to go through it because it's like such a good reality check. Like, even if we feel like, oh no, I don't think I'm prideful. All of us are prideful.
Yeah. We all have a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this has been such a good, like, no, God, even if I never, it makes me emotional. Like, even if I never was on a big stage again, I don't care. Like, I really don't. Like, we're here to build God's kingdom.
That's good.
And it has nothing to do with our names and the gifts that God's given us. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, God's going to move regardless of the things we do.
Yeah.
But are we being faithful to build his kingdom where he's called us? And the truth is, the Southwest needs churches.
Yeah.
You know,
more people. Yeah.
There's not a lot of people who want to live in this area. And so, like, our hearts, the longer we're here, it's like they're burning for, like, to see God's kingdom here. Yeah. Because it's so needed. But
I love that, Faith.
Yeah.
No, that's encompassed our whole journey of like living in a certain lifestyle or like pace where like we were seen and heard by so many, and then all of a sudden finding yourself in a season where you're only seen and heard by the Lord, which is probably a lot better than the other, right? I mean, they're obviously the Lord's with us in both, but I think we're in a season where this is my relationship with the Lord is so crucial and so important, because all the other things just is fluff, is extra, is accessories. And I've grown as a pastor. Definitely I've grown, and I'm still learning in this quiet season. And I love that just phrase, that quiet ministry, quiet season. But it's been a fruitful one.
Yeah. And I think you kind of encompass what this whole podcast was kind of created for, and the idea behind beyond the numbers, and the idea that numbers aren't bad, but we can have every butt in every seat within our church and have a congregation that still doesn't know God and aren't healthy,
right,
and are going to hell.
Yeah.
And I love you guys started off within this huge culture, and you're kind of going counter the way that culture would see it. They see step up, step up, step up.
We're going backwards.
You are, but I mean, right there where you were talking about, that is your heart. I mean, honestly, if we're really honest with ourselves, even someone that's listening to this, and maybe you have like a mega church and whatever, like, where did the heartbeat originally start for what you were doing? And
exactly.
And if you have a huge church and you still have that heart, and that's where God has directed you, then that's awesome. But sometimes, we can lose it and get so caught up in the machine and miss God in the midst of it. And so I love that you guys are doing that. And I know everything kind of takes a different turn when we shift our focus, when we shift our culture and everything like that. In this time of quieter ministry, have you guys had any grounding moments where, like, there's a win, and it might not be, hey, 4 million people viewed my post, but it's like there's a small win maybe that you're just like, God, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel like I have a lot of little ones throughout this whole time, and just one recent one that just really has like fueled me and has given me energy in those days where I'm like, am I doing anything? Are we doing anything? So I love photography. I love video and social media and all that stuff. And so I have a side business where I help out small businesses with all of that, with media. I got connected with a business person here in town, and I really loved their products, and I started buying some of their stuff, and we started talking about like, hey, let's do some business together. It was just a simple kind of like, hey, I like what you do, and here's some of the stuff that I do. Maybe it would help you. So I got connected with him. I set up a meeting to go check out his new store. And so I got there, and his wife was there first. And so I just kind of sparked up a conversation as we waited for her husband to get there. And as she's kind of sharing life. And then she finds out I'm a pastor as well, and that we're a church planner. And then he gets there, and I can tell he's tired. I can tell he's had a long day. And we just started talking. And it went from like business to quickly to just life. And I knew in my spirit, I'm like, oh, we're not in business mode anymore. This is a spiritual conversation, and they don't even know it. And I just started listening. I'm just listening, right? Because that ministry of presence, of quiet, being just listen to the people. We're so used to talking that I just stood there and listened to their life. And I just felt the stirring in my heart. I'm like, oh my goodness, we are doing ministry in this store right now. And it was so beautiful because like they started getting emotional about some stuff. I started getting emotional because you can't cry in front of me, bro. You can't cry in front of me because I will cry with you.
We're a bunch of
And
crybabies.
bunch of crybabies. And there was a sweet moment of ministry. And started as a 10, 15-minute visit to just check out a store became almost an hour of just us just talking. I left and I called Faith right away, and I'm like, Faith, oh my goodness. Because earlier that day, Faith and I had lunch, and I told her about like all these ideas that I have for the church plant and all these things that we can do. But one little like seed of like doubt hit us where like, well, would anyone come? Like, would anybody like where, like who? And a couple hours later, I have this incredible visit with this couple who are now become our friends. And it was just like a reminder that God is always working. And it's just up to us to become aware of it and step into what he's already doing. And that's just been like, oh, awesome. Like, God, thank you so much. And it's not like I'm not going to tell you like he got healed or there was a moment of salvation, but it was just like I was present and I was sent on purpose and I was walking in my destiny. And it was beautiful.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I love how it came from almost that moment of doubt. And again, just God's timing with everything. Like that little shred of doubt, and then God's like, no, see, I'm going to remind you of why I'm doing it. And that is so awesome how sometimes in our regular life we can get so lost going, okay, God, where are you? Where are you showing up in this? And sometimes it's in those small, almost like breath moments where he's like, no, this is the reminder that you need. Yeah. So let's just say that someone is listening to this and maybe they have felt that stirring that you guys do. Maybe it's a church plant. Maybe it's stepping out into a new level of ministry. Maybe it's creating a new program, whatever it is, but they're scared. Yeah. They're holding back. I mean, as we said, it is a huge step of faith. What would you say to someone that is wrestling with stepping out into the unknown?
Yeah. I've been saying this for like the past 2 years. Anytime this faith conversation comes up, like, how do I know to step out, or I'm scared? The space when we step out in faith, like that space that we create is where God does his biggest miracles. We won't see God move. And I believe this is why the Western church doesn't see lots of crazy moves of God the way other countries do, because we're so comfortable. When we step out in faith, we give God a room to take over.
Yeah.
But if we always are controlling things and have everything in order, it's like we push him out, and we don't mean to, and God is gracious and kind and still comes and moves. But when we step out in faith, like that's when if you want to see God move, you just have to do it.
Take that.
And I think you had
for me, again, if you're listening to this and you're either a type A or you need to plan out things or whatever, there was a moment where I spoke to a church planner many years ago, and I said, hey man, like I've read up on this, I've listened to podcasts, I've talked to so many people, like I feel stuck. And he goes, Fernando, it's like you're sitting in the car, you're like in the driver's seat, like eventually you're gonna need to start the car and go. Because what I was doing is I was reading the car manual, I was checking the tires, I was checking the engine, I was checking what's in the trunk, do we have enough gas, it's like eventually you have what you need. You just need to turn on the car and go. And that like little phrase just stuck with me, because I'm like, Lord, I feel like I'm done reading all these manuals, I'm done reading all these things, like I need to just make that step. And like what Faith was saying is so true. That step is where you see God just move tremendously. And then you'll see, oh my goodness, in order to see God move, we needed to move as well.
Yeah.
That's good. I love that analogy too. How many times have I done that? Just sat in the car and tried to read every single manual so that I can wrap my head around it and be prepared for any eventuality.
Eventually you just have to drive into the unknown.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for sharing a bit of your heart, your goal, and this big leap that you guys took, and especially for the people there, even though they don't even realize it yet, the blessing that you guys are going to be and being the hands and feet of Christ to there. It's just really, really awesome. So for those that are listening to this and you guys want to find out a bit more about Fernando and Faith, follow them and all that kind of stuff. Maybe find out about the church. They have a podcast. They have some other stuff. Would you point people in the direction of where you would like them to go to find out more information?
Yes. So visit us at www.newstorylc.com. You'll check out our whole story and vision and mission for Las Cruces. You could also check us out on Facebook and Instagram at New Story LC. And then we do have a podcast. It's called The New Story Podcast. And so it's really easy to find the New Story Podcast on anywhere you find your podcast. Just type it in. You'll see a picture of Faith and I. Yeah, follow us, check us out, and listen to our crazy journey of learning, unlearning, and trying out new things in order to advance the kingdom.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'll say I've listened to all the episodes so far. I love it. I love you guys' back and forth too. It's really great. So if you're looking for a new podcast, or you kind of want to see what it's like from, the dream to actually living it out, it's a perfect podcast. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys again for being part of this conversation. Again, thank you guys for all that you're doing. And for each and every one of you guys that are tuning in, thank you guys for watching this and watching every single episode. As always, like, subscribe, follow, all those little buttons down there to make sure that you're not missing a single beat of what we're doing here and hearing other voices like this as we work to grow beyond the numbers. I'll see you guys in the comments.